David Nachman first to introduce himself and then to address the immigration question with a few remarks.
Thank you so much, Maya G. It's a pleasure to be here, and I think I'm probably the underrepresented member of this panel on account of, as Thomas said this morning, I'm looking very American. I think you mentioned me, but I think Sudhirji looks a little more American than I do. So what I'd like to do is first start by, I'd like to first thank you for that introduction to Michael Fawani, who was my law partner for many years before he passed during COVID. Om Shanti, and he taught me everything I know about India. He used to joke with me and tell me that I was probably an Indian in a prior life, and I think that's probably true. But Michael taught me how to order South Indian coffee in North India, and it's always funny to watch the faces of the people who are saying, "Why are you ordering South Indian coffee here?" He taught me how to order kebabs in New Delhi. He taught me all the best dabas and where to get the best masala chai on the road between Ahmedabad and all of the cities in Gujarat. And he also taught me how to take an overnight train from Mumbai to Ahmedabad, and also taught me how to get out of speeding tickets on the highways in India, which I always thought was an interesting experience. But these are all wonderful memories that Michael left me with, and rest his soul, he was truly a landmark in the Indian immigration community. I'm just going to quickly say that, and Maya, thank you very much for for introducing me. Our law office is located in, and just a quick introduction about me. I'm an immigration lawyer on my good days. I do complex immigration-related matters, and mostly in the Indian community, and I say the greater Indian community, because as Lord Parikh had mentioned, it's throughout the world. So we're basically handling matters from folks throughout the world, and more so folks who have immigrated to other countries like Australia, New Zealand, Canada, who then want to make the next step to be with their families, perhaps in the United States. And so obviously by immigrating to third countries, they open the doors to opportunities to come to the United States, such as investor visas, E2, treaty trader visas, and NAFTA visas from Canada. But the Indian community has for many years presented tremendous challenges to us. Just to mention a few of them, priority date backlogs, which my colleagues will probably be mentioning. The Indian community is subject to quotas in the United States, which are absolutely outrageous. And so that for us presents unique opportunities to keep people in status for a very, very long time. So we use the H-1B for that, and we also use AC-21 extensions to try to keep people here for anywhere between 6 to 15 years. So that, and again, I thought the allusion by Lord Parikh to the worldwide brain drain was really good. I mean, we want to keep people here because we want to keep Silicon Valley going. We want to keep that high tech going here. We're absolutely astounded at the swipes that this administration has taken with regard to international students. And I believe that my colleagues will probably discuss that more in depth. We look to pre-certified visa categories for individuals who want to stay, because those bump up those priority dates for them, so we can get them the green cards faster so they can get more stability here in the United States. The Indian community also presents unique opportunities with regard to adjustment of status and consular processing. Do we want to do consular processing? Because the U.S. consulate offices they're a nightmare. Trying to do consular processing can be so subjective, and there's something called consular non-reviewability. So, we're more comfortable having our folks doing adjustment of status here because we have more control over the files. However, oftentimes we can't, and so we have to do things at the consulate. Just this morning, I was reading that Marco Rubio, our Secretary of State, laid off another 1,500 employees in the State Department. And that is going to be leaving us with nothing but a nightmare in terms of backlogs. So, strap yourselves in for what promises to be a wild ride for the next few months, certainly, but probably for the next few years. And that's just to name a few of the challenges that we face as immigration lawyers in the Indian community. And Mayaji, I think one of the things that I mentioned, there is a question that I think I proposed that we discuss, which was the big, beautiful bill, because that is extremely timely. And a lot of people, of course, were focused. And I've been listening to webinars on the big, beautiful bill because I'm trying to understand how that's going to impact our clients for the next, probably the next decade, but certainly in the short term. And I think that it's really important for our listeners to understand, at least with regard to, everyone's focused on the financial aspects and the economic aspects, but we're focused on the immigration aspects. And so I just want to, and I have a couple of statistics I'd just like to share with the attendees at this webinar, just so they're aware of what's going on. Because I think that subsumed within the economic benefits or shortfalls in this big, beautiful bill of the Trump administration are also very interesting allocations toward immigration enforcement. And we at our firm do a tremendous amount of immigration enforcement where we're doing investigations and audits, and we're helping them with H-1B site visits, Department of Labor investigations, and also helping businesses to understand what these new policies are and how they might be affected in the future. So first and foremost is that $46.5 billion in this big, beautiful bill was allocated toward the border wall and continuing to build the border wall. Also, there are additional funds that were allocated to CBP facilities, CBP being Customs and Border Protection Facilities, which are the border posts where people seek admission into the United States. $45 billion are being dedicated toward detention centers, which means that we're going to possibly, well, I would say even more than possibly, probably see more increased enforcement and removals. 30 billion is allocated toward improving existing ICE facilities, ICE being Immigration and Customs Enforcement. We affectionately refer to the folks who are removing individuals in the United States or deporting them as ICE men and ICE women. And so there are more monies now for increasing ICE personnel and for allocating those costs for transportation and for detainees. The really interesting part of the big, beautiful bill is an allocation of $13.5 billion to reimburse the states for immigration enforcement costs, which means that what's going on is that the federal government is going to deputize the states. And what they're going to do is use local law enforcement to try to find individuals who are not authorized to be in the United States. What that does is it extends, generally our advice in the past used to be, well, they don't have the person power to be able to remove everyone. Well, the thing is that now what they're going to do is they're going to use these monies as a way to blackmail, if you will, the states and localities into becoming enforcers of the U.S. immigration law. Now, I'm certain that the constitutionality of that will probably be challenged because immigration law is a federal issue and not a state issue. But again, this is in the big, beautiful bill. Also, what's interesting is another $3 billion in the big, beautiful bill has been allocated to the Department of Justice for new immigration judges. So again, which means that there's going to be a step up on enforcement. So I guess the big takeaway, and before I turn it over to my colleagues, the big takeaway here is, again, strap yourselves in for what promises to be probably a step up on the enforcement side in the US. We're going to see it in I-9 audits, H-1B site visits, Department of Labor wage and hour investigations. We're also seeing FDNS that's going out and doing investigations. Fraud Detection National Security is a division within the US Department of Homeland Security. And what we're also seeing, which is interesting, is that there's an arm of the US Department of State, and I'm not sure how they're going to be interplaying, but the US Department of State also does take a role in fraud investigations in the United States. So it'll be interesting to see. Now, with the technology improving and the administrative agencies cross-matching, and there was actually just, I think about, I want to say like 4 weeks ago, there was a discussion about how they're going to be using the Internal Revenue Service also and cross-matching against the Internal Revenue Service records to find out who's in the United States and who's not authorized. And this is going to be a big challenge also because the IRS, unlike the SSA, Social Security Administration, SSA is not an enforcement agency, but IRS is. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens. So this is all brand new. There are no regulations. This is just the law that was signed on July 4th. So it's really fresh. Obviously, we're going to do our very best to continue to monitor it. We put out articles on a regular basis, blogs, content, and obviously, if there's anyone who has any questions, we're more than happy to deal with those. But again, this is very, very new. So I don't know how much information we can give, but obviously we'll do the best that we can. Thanks so much, and I'll turn it back to you, Maya.
Thank you, David. That was really succinct and very focused, presentation. We
Gee.
got to get an impression it's turning into a police state as far as